Rain hammered against the gas station roof as I rushed to close my trunk. I thought tonight would be the last night I'd have to look over my shoulder. I thought I had finally outrun him, his world, his enemies, and the man whose name I still whispered in nightmares and memories. But fate was cruel. A pair of headlights sliced through the darkness. A black SUV rolled to a stop behind my car, quiet, controlled, unmistakably his. My pulse jumped. My breath caught. For a moment I couldn't move, my fingers frozen on the trunk handle. The door opened. He stepped out like a shadow made real, towering, dangerous, furious. Lorenzo De Luca. Mafia boss. The man I once loved. The man I ran from. His eyes didn't go to me. They went to the one thing I didn't hide fast enough. The small blue hospital bag. His entire body went still as if the world had snapped in half right beneath us. He walked forward slowly, like a predator closing in on prey. Rain soaked into his dark suit, his jaw tightening with every step. "Move," he said. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. My legs obeyed before my mind did, stepping aside as he leaned in and picked up the bag with careful, lethal precision. He opened it. The tiny newborn clothes. The prenatal vitamins. The discharge papers I never should have kept. His breath hitched. Then his head lifted and I felt his eyes like cold metal on my skin. "You hid this from me?" His voice was ice. "You hid my baby?" My throat tightened. "Lorenzo, listen." He dropped the bag back into the trunk, but his hand slammed against the edge, blocking me from closing it. "No," he growled, stepping closer. "You're going to explain. Every lie. Every day you kept my blood away from me." I shook my head, panic rising. "I had to." "Had to what?" he snarled. "Steal my child." A crack of lightning lit his face, the fury, the betrayal, the hurt he would kill to hide. My escape was over. And Lorenzo wasn't letting me walk away again. The rain blurred the world, but not enough to hide the accusation in Lorenzo's eyes. He stood so close I could feel the heat of his anger, the restraint in his muscles, the storm he was holding back with effort that looked painful. "Start talking," he said. But where did I begin? With the night everything changed? The night I realized loving him meant dying? My voice trembled. "Lorenzo, I didn't steal anything. I was protecting the baby." His jaw flexed. "From who? Me?" "No," I swallowed hard. "From your family." That made him freeze. Just for a moment, but enough to know he wasn't expecting that. He leaned in, lowering his voice. "Explain." I wrapped my arms around myself, the cold finally catching up. "The night I left, I heard something. I wasn't supposed to. Someone in your organization, someone close, was planning to get rid of the baby if I got pregnant. They said an heir would shift the power, and they couldn't allow it." Lorenzo's eyes darkened, but not with anger at me anymore. "You should have told me." "I tried." My voice broke. "You were in Sicily handling a deal. They said contacting you would expose me. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know if the person behind it was standing right beside you." His hands clenched at his sides. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the conflict twisting across his face. Rage, pain, guilt, and something else, fear. "Whose voice did you hear?" he asked. "I don't know. It was in the hallway outside your office. I ran before they saw me." He lifted his hand, slowly, carefully, and for a second I thought he was going to touch my cheek. Instead, he reached for the trunk again, gripping the edge until his knuckles paled. "You thought leaving me was the safest option." His voice was lower now, rougher. "You thought disappearing with my child was the only way to save them." Tears stung my eyes. "Yes." He exhaled a shaky breath and stepped back, only to jerk his chin toward the SUV. "Get in the car." My heart dropped. "Lorenzo, we're done talking out here." His tone turned lethal. "If someone threatened my heir, we're going home." And just like that, my freedom ended where his protection began. Lorenzo didn't shove me into the SUV. He didn't have to. His presence alone was enough, heavy, commanding, coiled with danger. I felt him behind me as I slid into the leather seat, every breath of his like a warning against running again. The door slammed shut. Locks clicked. My fate sealed. He rounded the hood, rain streaking down his face like war paint, and climbed in next to me. The moment he closed his door, the car began moving. No order needed. His men already knew. For a few seconds, silence filled the SUV. Not peace. Not comfort. A tense, unbearable silence that meant Lorenzo was thinking. And Lorenzo thinking was never good for anyone. "You lived for 9 months without me knowing." His voice cut through the quiet, raw and sharp. "Do you understand what that did to me?" I looked away, staring at the wipers battling the storm. I did what I had to do. He leaned closer. You disappeared. No trace. No note. Not even a rumor. I tore cities apart trying to find you. My chest tightened. I hadn't known that. I hadn't let myself imagine it. His voice dropped lower. And all this time, you were carrying my child. I flinched at the way he said my, possessive, aching, furious. Lorenzo, I wasn't trying to hurt you, I whispered. He scoffed softly, eyes narrowing. You succeeded anyway. Before I could speak, the SUV turned sharply. I recognized the road instantly, dread choking me. We were headed toward his estate. The place I swore I would never return to. High gates came into view, guarded by men with weapons who straightened the moment they recognized the vehicle. The gate rolled open like the jaws of a beast welcoming its prey. The mansion emerged, towering, lit like a fortress, surrounded by shadows that obeyed him. When the car stopped, Lorenzo didn't move. He simply looked at me. Not with hatred. Not with anger. With something far more dangerous. You're not leaving again, he said quietly. Not until I find out who threatened our baby. And not until I decide what to do with you. My pulse skittered. Because part of me feared what he'd do. And another part feared what I still felt. The guards watched in rigid silence as Lorenzo opened my door. Not gently, not harshly, just firmly enough to remind me I had no choice. I stepped out, the cold air hitting me like a warning. His mansion loomed ahead, its glowing windows staring down like 100 watchful eyes. Inside nothing had changed. Marble floors. Dim hall lights. Security cameras tucked into the corners like silent witnesses. Memories rushed in, some soft, most terrifying. Lorenzo walked beside me, not touching me but close enough that my skin prickled. He led me into his private office, shutting the heavy door behind us with a thud that echoed through my bones. Sit, he ordered. I didn't. I'm pregnant, not helpless, I muttered. His jaw tightened. I didn't say you were helpless. I said sit. I sat. He remained standing, arms crossed, eyes burning through me. Tell me everything, he said. This time without running. I sucked in a breath. The night I left, I overheard two men. They said if I had your child, the balance of power in the family would shift. They said the last thing your enemies, or your own blood, wanted was a DeLuca heir. Lorenzo's face hardened like carved stone. Describe them. I couldn't see their faces, I said shakily. But one had a deep voice. Italian. The other called him Capo. That made Lorenzo's entire body go still. Capo, he repeated slowly. There's only one in my inner circle who's ever addressed that way. I swallowed. Who? His eyes lifted to mine, colder than ice. My uncle. My stomach dropped. The one who raised me after my father died, Lorenzo said bitterly. The one who taught me loyalty. The one who wants the empire for himself. A beat of silence. He wants the baby gone, I whispered. No, Lorenzo's voice was deadly calm. He wanted you gone first. The baby would have been next. My breath trembled. That's why I ran. Lorenzo stepped closer, his shadow falling over me. You should have come to me. I didn't know if he was watching, I whispered. If your whole house was compromised. His gaze softened, painfully, dangerously, before turning hard again. Then you were right to hide, he said. But now I fix this. He reached for the door. Where are you going? I asked. To remind my family, he growled, that no one touches what's mine. Lorenzo didn't return for hours. I stayed in his office because the hallways felt too big, too watched. And because leaving the room felt like crossing a line he hadn't given permission to cross. When the door finally opened, he walked in with the same storm-dark expression he'd left with, but something in his eyes had changed. They weren't wild with fury anymore. They were controlled, focused, determined. I spoke to my uncle, he said, locking the door behind him. My stomach twisted. What did you? He didn't admit anything. Lorenzo removed his coat slowly, each movement deliberate. But he slipped. And now I know enough. Enough for what? Enough to end this. His gaze pinned me. Enough to protect you. I swallowed. And the baby? Something flickered in his expression. Something raw, vulnerable, quickly buried. Especially the baby. He walked closer, stopping only when the desk separated us. And then, he surprised me. His voice dropped, low and steady. How far along are you? I froze. 7 months. His jaw tensed, but not with anger. With emotion he was trying, and failing, to hide. Stand up. The command was soft this time, almost gentle. I rose slowly. Lorenzo circled around the desk and stopped in front of me, his presence towering, suffocating, familiar. He lowered himself to one knee. My breath caught. His hand hovered near my stomach but didn't touch. He was shaking, Lorenzo, the man who never shook. I missed everything, he whispered. The first kick. The doctor appointments. The nights you were scared and alone. I blinked fast, tears burning my eyes. Lorenzo. He finally let his hand rest lightly, reverently, against my belly. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver through me. This will never happen again, he said quietly. No one will ever threaten my child. And no one will ever take you from me. I should have stepped back. I didn't. He rose slowly, face inches from mine. You stay here, he said, voice low. In my house. Under my protection. My pulse raced. What if I say no? He leaned in, lips near my ear, breath trembling. Then I'll spend the rest of my life making you say yes. The next morning, the mansion felt different. Quieter, heavier, like the walls themselves were listening. Lorenzo hadn't slept. I could tell by the shadows under his eyes, the sharpness in his movements, the clipped orders he threw at his men. Something had changed. Something big. I stepped out into the hallway and nearly collided with 2 guards stationed outside my door. They straightened instantly. You're not supposed to leave the room without the boss, one said. I blinked. Since when? Since last night. A cold ripple slid down my spine. Lorenzo wasn't just protecting me. He was preparing for war. Before I could ask anything, heavy footsteps approached. Lorenzo appeared at the end of the hall, black suit, black tie, black mood. His eyes softened a fraction when he saw me. You should be resting, he said. I would, I shot back, if someone explained why your guards are glued to my door. He exhaled, rubbing his temples. Because my uncle made his move. Fear twisted in my chest. What did he do? He met with a rival family late last night, Lorenzo said coldly. He's spreading the rumor that you're carrying a child that doesn't belong to me. He wants doubt. Chaos. He wants to split the loyalty of my men. That's dangerous, I whispered. It's a declaration. His jaw flexed. And when a DeLuca declares war, blood follows. He stepped closer, his voice dropping lower. You and the baby are now the most valuable targets in the city. To him, to enemies, to anyone who wants leverage against me. My throat tightened. Lorenzo. He touched my chin gently, forcing my eyes to his. That's why you don't leave my side. I swallowed hard. I'm not a prisoner. No, he said softly. You're the mother of my heir. Before I could react, his phone buzzed violently. He glanced at the screen, and his expression turned lethal. What happened? I asked. He answered without looking at me. One of my guards didn't check in. My heart lurched. Where was he stationed? Lorenzo's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. Near the perimeter. Where they'd strike first if they were coming for you. A beat of silence. Then he turned to me. They found you once. His eyes burned. They won't get a second chance. The mansion had never felt so suffocating. Every corridor I walked felt like a spotlight on my every move, every shadow a potential threat. But the strangest thing? It wasn't just the danger. It was him. Lorenzo. Always near. Always watching. Always intense. Breakfast was silent. I tried to focus on the food, but every scrape of a fork, every movement of his hand across the table drew my eyes. He didn't talk much, just gave instructions to his men, eyes flicking toward me with that quiet intensity that made my pulse race. You'll need a schedule, he finally said, voice low, carrying that dangerous undertone that warned me not to argue. Doctor visits. Rest. No unnecessary movement. And you'll always be with someone I trust. I can manage, I muttered, trying to assert independence. You're not managing anything, he replied sharply. His gaze softened for a fleeting moment. You're carrying my child. That alone changes the rules. It wasn't just possessiveness, it was the way his eyes softened when he looked at me, the way his jaw twitched when he tried to mask worry. A part of me ached to push him away to escape the intensity, but another part wanted to lean in. Later, he escorted me to the nursery, a room I hadn't known existed. Pale walls. Soft light. Tiny clothes neatly folded. And at the center, a crib that seemed absurdly large for a baby yet to come. You picked this out? I asked, incredulous. He shrugged. Not me. But I approved it. Everything my child will have, everything you need, you'll have it here. The closeness of him, the scent of his cologne, the quiet authority that radiated from him, It was overwhelming. My heart thumped. My hands trembled. "You don't have to do this alone," he whispered, stepping closer. "I'll be here every step of the way. Protecting you. Protecting them." I glanced away, cheeks burning. "I'm not a child. You're carrying my heir," he said, voice soft but lethal. "That makes you more than just a mother. That makes you mine. Completely." The words hit harder than I expected. My pulse raced, my mind spun. I wanted to fight him, and wanted him closer at the same time. In the dangerous world of the DeLuca Empire, feelings were liabilities. But right now, they were impossible to ignore. The mansion felt like a fortress, armed guards, locked gates, cameras shifting with every move I made. Lorenzo had doubled security again after the missing guard incident. No one got in or out without his permission. At least, that's what he believed. It happened in a moment too quiet for a house full of Mafia soldiers. I was resting in the guest suite. Lorenzo refused to let me sleep alone but had stepped out for a meeting with his lieutenants. I told myself I was safe for the hour he'd be gone. I was wrong. A soft knock sounded at the door. "Miss?" "The boss asked me to escort you downstairs." I frowned. Lorenzo said he'd get me himself. The guard shifted, eyes too cautious. He was delayed. He sent me instead. Something felt wrong, a cold prickled down my spine. But the guard wore Lorenzo's crest on his jacket. He was familiar. I had seen him around the estate many times. Still, my instinct screamed. "I'll wait here," I said, stepping back. His expression flickered, just briefly but enough to confirm it. That wasn't the response he wanted. He stepped inside before I could close the door, his hand reaching behind his back. "Please don't make this difficult," he muttered. My blood turned to ice. "You're not working for Lorenzo." "No," his eyes hardened. "I'm working for the man who should have been boss. Lorenzo's uncle." "Don't scream," he warned. "I don't want to hurt you unless I have to." My pulse thundered. I backed away, hand instinctively covering my stomach. "Please, I'm pregnant." "That's exactly why I'm here," he whispered. "The child changes everything." He reached for me. I stumbled, grabbed a lamp, and swung it with everything I had. It shattered against his shoulder. He hissed, lunged, and grabbed my wrist. Just as I opened my mouth to scream, a gunshot cracked through the room. The guard dropped instantly. Behind him stood Lorenzo. No expression. No hesitation. Just pure, lethal fury. His voice was ice when he spoke. "They dared to send someone into my home." He looked at me, shaking, terrified, holding my stomach, and his expression broke for the briefest second. "Get behind me," he said, voice shaking with fury. "This house was breached. That means we're out of time." The warehouse smelled of smoke and steel. Shadows stretched across the walls like sinister fingers. Lorenzo's hands gripped the steering wheel of the armored SUV as we pulled up. His eyes, dark and lethal, never left me. "They'll pay," he muttered, voice low and dangerous. "Every last one of them." I clutched my stomach instinctively, heart racing. The baby kicked, a tiny reminder of why we were here. He noticed. His jaw flexed. "I promised nothing would touch you, and I mean it." We stepped out, and the men who had betrayed him, who had threatened me, his heir and his empire, were waiting. But they hadn't expected him to move this fast. Lorenzo didn't hesitate. He moved like a shadow, precise, lethal, unstoppable. Each strike, each command, each bullet fired by his men cleared the path to the center of the warehouse. I stayed low, pressed behind the crates, watching him. There was something mesmerizing about the way he fought, not reckless, not chaotic, but calculated. Every move had purpose. Every movement was for me, for the baby, for what was his. And then I saw him, the traitor. My pulse spiked. My stomach twisted. He held a gun, aiming directly at me. "Run," Lorenzo barked, his voice ice and fire. I hesitated. But then he was there, between us, a wall of steel and fury. His eyes locked on the man who dared threaten his family. A single word left his mouth. "Die." It was not a request. It was a promise. A flurry of gunfire, chaos, and shouts erupted. I ducked instinctively, gripping my stomach. When the smoke cleared, the traitor lay on the floor, gone. Silence fell. Only the sound of our breathing, ragged and heavy, filled the space. Lorenzo turned to me. Face streaked with blood and sweat. Eyes wild with both relief and fury. He stepped closer, hand reaching out, trembling. "You're safe," he whispered. "I'll never let anyone touch you again. Not my child. Not you. Not me." I swallowed hard, heart racing, tears blurring my vision. I thought I'd lose you. Lose them. He pulled me into his arms, holding me close, possessively, protectively. Not today. Not ever. For the first time since all of this began, I realized I wasn't just his captive, his responsibility, or his obsession. I was part of something bigger now. His world. His bloodline. His family. And nothing, no betrayal, no enemy, could ever take that away. The ride back to the mansion was silent, tense, heavy with everything that had happened. Lorenzo kept one hand on the wheel and the other resting protectively over mine, thumb brushing slowly, almost absent-mindedly, like he needed the reminder that I was still here. The moment we stepped through the doors, the guards stood straighter. The entire house felt different. Safer. Calmer. Like the storm had finally passed. But Lorenzo didn't stop walking until we reached his room. Not the guest room, not a spare room. He closed the door softly behind us. No command. No order. Just a long, quiet breath as he turned to face me. "It's over," he said. I shook my head. "Is it? Your uncle. Gone." His voice was final, lethal. "He won't touch you. He'll never touch anyone again." I swallowed. "Lorenzo, I didn't want you to kill for me." He stepped closer, hands sliding to my waist, careful of my stomach. "I didn't kill for you." His forehead pressed to mine. "I killed for our child. For what he tried to take from me." His voice dropped, softer, deeper. "And for me," he admitted. Emotion hit hard, unexpected. "I didn't want to leave you," I whispered. I was terrified. His jaw flexed, eyes burning with something vulnerable and devastating. "I know. And I'll never forgive myself for letting you feel alone." He knelt, slowly, reverently, placing one hand over my stomach. "I swear on my name, on my blood, and on everything I am, I will protect both of you." His voice cracked at the edges. "No more running. No more fear. Only us." Tears slipped down my cheeks. He rose, cupping my face gently. "I want you here. With me." Pause. "Not because you're carrying my child, but because you're the only woman I've ever." He stopped himself. But I already knew. I felt it in the way he touched me, in the way he fought for me, in the way he almost broke when he thought he might lose us. I pressed my forehead to his. "Lorenzo, I'm not running anymore." His breath trembled. "Say it again." "I'm not running." His lips brushed mine, soft at first, then deeper, claiming, promising. "I protect what's mine," he murmured. "And now, you are."